It's a long journey, ladies and gentlemen. I'm about to step out the door and go get something to eat. But does it seem like we're going to get the fights we wanted to see at middleweight? Does it look like we might even get a Jamal Charlo versus Daniel Jacobs? That's a fight that was brewing. That's an interesting fight. That's a fight I think Daniel Jacobs would want, as well as Jamal Charlo. See, how I look at it is like this, right? How I look at it is like this. We're here that Gennady Golovkin is in negotiations. This is a rumor, but in negotiations with Derevyanchenko for the IBF belt. Canelo said, look, man, Gennady Golovkin wants to face Canelo, right? Canelo said, hey, you want to face me, get a belt. That satisfies that criteria. Then we got Demetrius Andrade, who wants to face Canelo. Okay, so the question was, does Canelo want to face Demetrius Andrade? Looks like they're in negotiations for that fight. Takes care of two. Jamal Charlo and Daniel Jacobs. There's a feud going on there. We could get Jacobs versus Charlo. That takes care of the third fight in the division. And those are all the top guys in the division. Nobody's left out. They can have all these great fights. The only question would be with Charlo and Jacobs, would it be on Showtime or would it be on the Zone? Would it be a pay-per-view or would it be a DAZN fight? That's the question we'll need to know. But as to those guys, those two guys want to face each other. All right? Derevyanchenko won a belt. Gennady Golovkin won a belt. That situation satisfies that. Canelo, facing the last of the four champions. Won't be an undisputed match, but it'll be a unification bout. He said he wanted to be undisputed. It can get him back on track to becoming undisputed by facing Demetrius Andrade. Andrade want to face Canelo. That satisfies that criteria. To me, again, all of this makes business sense for the Zone, especially if they could somehow get Golovkin and Canelo on the same card. That is to say, Golovkin is a co-main event with Canelo. That would definitely make for, they will get more subscribers, because the only thing that means is if Golovkin wins his fight and Canelo wins his fight, which are compelling fights. It's not fights that they're guaranteed to win, which is, again, another very good thing. But let's say Golovkin wins his fight, Canelo wins his fight, then it sets up for the undisputed championship in which Canelo will be facing Golovkin. Can't get better than that in the middleweight division. You know what I mean? You can't get it better than that. The only question would be, would Danny Jacobs say he want to face Jamal Charlo? So if Danny Jacobs want to face Jamal Charlo want to face Danny Jacobs benefits in getting the WBC title from for Jamal Charlo. Jamal Charlo has something to offer, and Jamal Charlo gets some of the Danny Jacobs legacy from Danny Jacobs. I say that's again a fight that makes perfect sense to happen, and it's going to be a money-making fight. It's probably going to be a pay-per-view fight because Danny Jacobs has been on pay-per-view for a couple of fights. It's been on the Zone. If they want to have it on the Zone, they can have it on the Zone. If they want to have it on Showtime, it's a compelling fight because Danny Jacobs is a hell of a fighter. Got a lot of pedigree, proving himself. Jamal Charles yet to prove himself at middleweight. Fighting that top-tier competition. This could be his first top-tier competition that he faces, and let's see how he performs against that. So I'm just saying, it's just, this is the kind of stuff you want to have, right? And again, all I'm saying make perfect sense. It's not some arbitrary thing that has no plan behind it. For example, if Danny Jacobs beats Jamal Charlo, that sets up Danny Jacobs versus any one of the top 10 middleweights who are already at the Zone. If Charlo beats Danny Jacobs, it now puts him in a position where he's got a marquee name behind him. It sets him up to face any one of those top 10 middleweights in the middleweight division. So no matter how you look at it, it's great for boxing. And since Billy Joe Saunders is not in the equation because he's at 168, that takes care of all the top tier guys. And none of the fights are gimme fights. None of the fights are stay busy fights. None of the fights are just, merely good guys. All potential superstars. Definitely Jamal Charlo is a potential superstar. Demetrius Andrade is a potential superstar. And they got that showboating mentality. They got that edginess to them. They have that will to win. So these young guns that are coming in, the young lions that are coming in to the older, more seasoned lions, they really are good plus addition to the thing. They're not like some, run-of-the-mill. They're not even a Derevyanchenko. Let's just put it that way. Derevyanchenko is probably the weakest competition in all of them. And GGG's taking him, but at least it's a big step up for GGG. Facing a guy who has, as a GTS would say, a former world titleist contender. That's what the dude is. So he been a former world titleist contender. So I mean that's a big step up. And the guy has faced names. He faced Danny Jacobs. Okay. So I mean let's see what can be done. Let's see what can be done. So those are good fights. Those are good matchups. I'm totally on board with that stuff. I want to see how all three of them perform before we can move further. But I hope that these negotiations get done, because that is just dream fights right there in the middleweight division. And I'm looking forward to it. Don't forget to smash that like button, people. Anyway, I got to step out and go. But before I even further, I have some other things I want to talk about in boxing. So the first one is, again, the legendary Pernell Whitaker. I was just watching a lot of footage of Pernell Whitaker and his fights and his fighting style. And the question came up again. It came up, what would happen if Pernell Whitaker faced Floyd Mayweather? Now, that question was posed by Carcino back in 2012. It was interesting listening to the different people, their takes on it, and just how they interpreted the information. At the time in 2012, Floyd had not yet faced Canelo. He had not faced Miguel Cotto. He had not faced Marcos Maidana, okay? And he hadn't faced Manny Pacquiao, okay? So, you know, that conversation was a very interesting one, in which a lot of people put their input in, and then Carcino put his input in. And one of the guys who was old enough to have seen Willie Pep fight was talking about Pernell Whitaker, his style. I think one of the most unfair comparisons is people trying to compare and say that Floyd has a similar style to Pernell Whitaker, or that Tevin Farmer has a similar style to Pernell Whitaker. I want to just tell you guys, Tevin Farmer does not have a similar style to Pernell Whitaker. Neither does Floyd Mayweather. Pernell Whitaker has his own style, and it's very unique to Pernell Whitaker. They have one thing in common. They're all defensive fighters, and they're hard to hit. But as to say that Pernell Whitaker, Floyd is a Pernell Whitaker today, and that he has a similar, there's only one Pernell Whitaker. I'm going to explain. I'm going to break it down in terms of style. Pernell Whitaker doesn't use the shoulder roll. He doesn't use the Philly shell defense, period. Okay? He does block some punches, and he does roll punches sometimes. But his style has to do with how he circles the ring and uses pivots. And he uses pivots in a very unique way. What's called cross-foot circling. Cross-foot circling. Okay? So he does something like, the late Muhammad Ali sometimes would do. And so Pernell Whitaker had a totally different style. He used more of his jab, and he would circle you. All right? But he'd circle you in tight circles because of his pivot, and it's a calculated way of doing it. It kind of breaks the rules of boxing somewhat, because being a southpaw, you would expect him to want to have lead foot dominance, but he actually, gave up lead foot dominance for spacing and this sort of unusual pivoting called footwork. And it's crazy. All right, so Pernell Whitaker did something totally different. He's a very unique fighter. The other thing he would do is shuffle. And he would shuffle on a curve, or on a pivot, as we say. He would shuffle. Now, Floyd does it also in the orthodox stance, but Whitaker did it a very, 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 very unique time, in very, very, very unique way. Okay? And the thing with Pernell Whitaker was he would be shuffling and still throwing the jab off the shuffle. Not that Floyd can't do that too, but Floyd doesn't do that. And the other thing he could do was, as he's pivoting and shuffling, he could throw combinations. Of course, he still sit down on the combination, but he can actually, his feet, and it's called remote footwork, his feet could be moving while he's throwing combinations. So that's another thing. He doesn't have to sit down on the combination. Of course, Pernell Whitaker could also fight flat-footed and coming forward. Okay? He was not as elusive coming forward as when he was going backward. Okay? But his technique that he did circling opponent going backward. The other thing with Pernell Whitaker was he could pivot on the inside. So his inside footwork was remarkable. He pivoted on the inside, and that's how he could get the liver shots in, the body shots. Whitaker always talk about, by the way, the last video I saw of Pernell Whitaker, I think it was 2016, Pernell Whitaker was actually giving advice to Marcus Brown. That's right, another southpaw. In fact, Pernell Whitaker, kind of like all the top southpaws you've ever seen in boxing, most of them have at some point in time spoken with Pernell Whitaker or all watched him. All right, so DeMarcus Corley talks about, sparring Pernell Whitaker, how much he learned from Pernell Whitaker. and how Pernell Whitaker would actually use rhythm, the rhythm of Pernell Whitaker. That's something that he kind of learned about how to have rhythm in boxing. You know. Yes, Get the Smoke. I know. We done already talk about that Get the Smoke. We're just talking about matchups. You probably coming in a little bit late, my boy. Shout out to you, Get the Smoke. Yes, he's been stripped of the IBF title, and it looks like Gennady Golovkin and Derevyanchenko are in negotiations for that. And Canelo and Demetrius Andrade, that's all right. And Canelo, I was just talking about that. And Canelo and Demetrius Andrade look like they're in negotiations to make the fight. So those, I think that's actually the best thing that could possibly happen to the middleweight division. Canelo getting stripped. I'll tell you why. Because now Gennady Golovkin is open to get a belt. I'm just repeating what I said. Okay, Canelo's open up to get a belt now. Not Canelo, Gennady Golovkin by facing Derevyanchenko. Canelo, he is going to now have to face. Well, he doesn't have to, but he, you know, what the fans wanted all along. Demetrius Andrade fight. He's finally doing it. And the nice thing about it is he's going to cup another belt. So the belt he lost, he can gain another belt, which is the WBO belt with Demetrius Andrade. And like I said before, I've said this in a previous video. I said one early this morning. It sets up for now their undisputed championship to be between Canelo and Gennady Golovkin. You know, and but we may be jumping ahead of ourselves. Let's see if they can get their negotiations done. And the other cool thing about this is they can feature Triple G versus Derevyanchenko on DAZN the same night when Canelo is facing Demetrius Andrade on DAZN. So they can have a double feature on DAZN, which makes it, you know, once people hear Gennady Golovkin and Canelo's name together, people are going to tune in and they could probably get more subscribers because the fight they wanted was Triple G versus Canelo. Now this builds towards a Triple G Canelo fight. Now the only thing that has to happen though, Get the Smoke is smash that like button, people. Is that they need to win their fights. And I'm telling you, neither fight is a gimme. And here's the third part. This is this is the best thing about it. Triple G needs a belt, so he won't want this fight. Derevyanchenko wants a belt, so it works out well for those guys. And then Canelo wants to be undisputed. He said he wanted to have it at the end of this year. He gonna make one step in that direction, even though he lost a step. And then Demetrius Andrade wants to face Canelo. So that works out just fine if they could just get the negotiations done, right? And then, good question. You asked who's fighting Charlo. I already mentioned that. Why not Danny Jacobs? Why not Danny Jacobs? Danny Jacobs is a fighter who, they got beef. They got history. Jamal Charlo and Danny Jacobs got history. So it works out just perfectly fine if Danny Jacobs faces Jamal Charlo. Now, they could have it as a pay-per-view on Showtime, or they could have it on DAZN. I don't know how they're going to work that out. Danny Jacobs is a free agent. He got some flexibility there. So let's see what happens with that. That can pop off, and again, that's going to be a big fight. That's a huge fight. You know, what does Danny Jacobs stand to gain? The WBC title. What does Jamal Charlo stand to gain? The legacy of Danny Jacobs. I mean, you can't get it better than that. You cannot get it better than that. That covers all the top middleweights in the division. I mean, what can I say? What can I say? So I talked about that early on in the video, but I'm just repeating it for you. I'm going back to what I was saying about Pernell Whitaker, right? So Pernell Whitaker has had a huge influence on the sport of boxing. A lot of southpaws. Yep. That's what I'm telling you, man. I'm telling you, this is actually working out well. Yes, I know. It's a doable fight. Very doable. Very doable fight. You know, and the nice thing about it is, it don't have to be on DAZN. It can be negotiated to be on Showtime, because Danny Jacobs is a kind of free agent sort of guy. He was with DAZN mainly for the Canelo fight, which he got. So I'm just saying, that's doable, and that works out. That's that. Charlo also can fight on Showtime. He had been on Showbox. Remember, with Al Heyman, the thing about Al Heyman, okay, and this is what I try to explain to people. Al Heyman ain't trying to stop no fight, okay? Which reminds me, I was just about to say, there's a clarification on PBC not wanting WBO as a known title. Actually, somebody came out and said that PBC never made that statement. There was a rumor going around as a result of PBC featuring their welterweight champions and left out the WBO champion Terrence Crawford. But apparently, in a broadcast before where there were fights going on, when they list all the welterweight champions, Terrence Crawford's WBO title was there. So apparently, it's not that the PBC is trying to exclude or knock out Terrence Crawford from them. They were just featuring their own champions that night. All right. So that's what's going on. People interpreted it as the PBC is trying to push out the WBO, and the WBO took to the rumors and responded, which, oh my gosh, that's an interesting way to cause a knee-jerk response. So we all got triggered, I guess, including the WBO president. And don't forget to smash that like button, ladies and gentlemen. Let me see what you guys are saying in the comment section before I go back to what I was saying about Pernell Whitaker. Jacobs and Charlo could be free. More than likely not. I think it's going to be a pay-per-view. Because Jacobs, well, it might be free. It might be free. You might be right. You might be right because the zone is not pay-per-view. So it might be free. But the last fight Jacobs had, he was on pay-per-view with no, he was on the zone. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, you're right. It could be free. You're right. Jacobs Triple G was pay-per-view. Charlo was on Showtime before the Fox deal. Yeah, but again, I think that you can be on Fox and also be on Showtime. I think Gervonta Davis is not exclusively with Showtime. You know, let me think of one guy who's been featured on Fox and then he's featured on Showtime. I'm trying to think. It happens. It happens. Keith Thurman. No, that was Fox. That was Fox. Let me see. Yeah, Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman versus Sean Porter was on Showtime. I think. I can't remember. I think Showtime for him and Danny Jacobs, I think, and then Fox. I can't remember. I gotta go back and look. The Fox deal was this year. That's true. I don't know. Gervonta Davis, I don't know if he's been on Fox. I think he's been on Fox, and I think he's been on Showtime. How many times he's fought this year? 3 times? Was it all on Showtime? I don't think Gervonta only fought on Showtime. Let me see. I don't know. I can't remember. You might be right. But anyway, back to what I was saying. So if it's on Fox and it's free, great. Even better. We'll just see how many viewers will come to and watch that fight. But at the end of the day, the beautiful thing about it is that that's a good matchup. And it's doable. Very doable, you know. Very, very doable. So that Jamal Charlo is not left out the loop. And if he got Danny Jacobs under his belt, now he got some sort of validation. You know, he's not green anymore. And then Demetrius Andrade, if he got Canelo, if he beats Canelo, it's big. If he, fights Canelo and somehow, he gets some respect, he may be, less experienced, so he lost, but he got some respect in the fight. Again, that's a big name on his resume. You see? That's a bigger name than Triple G, any day, any time. And then Derevyanchenko will have Triple G and Danny Jacobs on his resume, whether he wins, lose, or draw. So, I mean, once you don't get knocked out by Triple G, which is not going to happen. I don't think Triple G knocks out Derevyanchenko. But let's say he don't get knocked out by Triple G. Triple G working on his defense with Jonathan Banks because he'll need that defense against Derevyanchenko. I know Derevyanchenko going to beat him. So if he can improve his defense against Derevyanchenko, he could try and pull it off. I mean, that's a tricky fight for him because Derevyanchenko is beating him in the amateurs, so it's gonna be tricky. But I think Gennady Golovkin could try and pull it off. I think he could somehow get the win. He a tough dude as well, so we'll see. I don't know. Derevyanchenko like to mix it up, so it should be good. That'll be good. Those are good fights. The zone will have some good fights, man. GGG too old. I can't say he's too old. I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say he's too old for Derevyanchenko. Derevyanchenko and him is the same age. Derevyanchenko fought him in the amateurs, man. That's a good ass fight, man. That's a great fight, actually. So I would love to see that. Love to see. And Derevyanchenko got a unique style. He got good chin. It'll be a good fight. It'll be a good fight. Good fight. That's a good fight. And gonna be action packed all the way through. So GG's not that boxer type. He European boxer type. You know what I mean? So it'll be a good ass fight. I would love to see that. Derevyanchenko could pull the upset, and he's hungry. So it could be, it's a dice. That's what I like about these fights. Demetrius Andre could pull that upset. He could beat Canelo. He can beat Canelo. This is the kind of fights you want to see. You don't want to see some fight where already, oh yeah, Canelo got that. He gonna beat Sergey Kovalev. You don't want to have fights like that. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You know what I'm saying? You know, Canelo got the experience. He got all that championship experience under his belt. Fighting real world champions. We favor him to win, but we don't know. We don't know if he gonna win. You know, Triple G versus Davinchenko. Triple G, had a soft touch and whatever the guy's name is, I forgot his name. And now he stepped it up. He stepped it up, not all the way up, but he stepped it up to a guy who was a title contender. You know what I mean? Tough guy. Tough fight. Okay, I'm giving that. I'm giving the pass. Jacobs step it up and fight a young, strong, undefeated, really powerful jab. Looking pretty good. He not looked the greatest in his last couple of fights, but he looks pretty good, and he WBC champion. That's the kind of fights you want to see. You don't want to see no stupid Canelo versus Munguia, Triple G versus Munguia. What the fuck, man? You know what I'm saying? A gimme fight like Sergey Kovalev versus Canelo. I don't want to see no stupid gimme fight. That's a gimme fight. I don't want to see no gimme fight. You know what I'm saying? Bivol now. Bivol was talking about Canelo, calling out Canelo. Oh, hell yeah, I want to see that fight. But not right now. Not right now because he got business with Andre. They in negotiations. So let's get that Andre. But Bivol, hell yeah, I'm gonna absolutely say yes to that because Bivol's a hell of a boxer. So yeah, don't tell me you're not no Sergey Kovalev. Come on, man. You top tier. You've been fighting top tier opposition. Now, if you was a Terrence Crawford, it'd be good. Good for you. If Terrence Crawford go up to 154, face Jaime Munguia and beat his ass. I say, yeah, that's good because Terrence Crawford's at that level. You see, Terrence Crawford ain't fighting no top tier guy back to back to back. You understand what I'm saying? That's why I said he's at that level. He now trying to put world champions under his belt. You know what I'm saying? He can't get him in the PBC. Okay, you go up, you step up a division, you face a world champion up in 154. You stepping up in weight. You're not really even a full-fledged welterweight yet. You haven't filled out fully, but you step up, you take the challenge, go up to 154. The guy's not as good a boxer as you, and you beat his ass, right? You may not stop him, but you outbox him. You know what I'm saying? That's big because now you telling the welterweight division, look how good I am. You know what I'm saying? But like my boy was saying, there's Kell Brook right there, and he wants to fight you. So why would you go up one weight division where already this guy's already arranging a fight with Jesse Vargas? Jesse Vargas, is arranging a fight with Jaime Munguia. So if those relationships don't work out, then Terrence Crawford got second fiddle. Jaime Munguia himself is busy. Trying to get a fight with Jesse Vargas. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying, if you're gonna do something like that, Terrence, there's a guy who actually wants to fight you. Then face that guy that wants to fight you. I mean, it's his problem if he's can't make the weight or whatever. That's his problem. But at the end of the day, you can get this name on your resume, boost to your resume, and get some credibility in the welterweight division. People say that Kell Brook is done. I don't think so. I don't think he's done. But that's that. Some people think so. But remember, this guy just jumped up to super welterweight and was facing super welterweights. You know what I mean? And if he can make the 147, great. He's a big dude. So if he can make the 147, great. I expect him in the middle rounds, somewhere 7-8 to fade, as Kell Brook always does. Come back on strong on the 10th, 11th, and 12th. If Terrence don't put him away in the 7th, 8th, or 9th, then Kell Brook will make it to the finish line, and the question will be who could outbox who, right? So that's how I look at it. I know that's a good fight. I'm telling you guys, y'all underestimating Kell Brook. That's a good ass fight. That's gonna be probably the toughest fight Terrence Crawford has had at welterweight. Meaning that don't mean much, but it ain't saying much. But at least he'll be tested. The guy would have the full-fledged welterweight size. The guy has the boxing pedigree. He's not no Jeff Horn. He ain't no green guy like Jose Benavidez, who's green. Never been at the championship level, never faced top tier competition. No, he's not gonna be green like Jose Benavidez, and he sure as hell gonna have a chin. He ain't chinny like Amir Khan. So I mean, at the end of the day, and he got much more better fundamentals than Amir Khan. Not as fast as him, but he got better fundamentals. So I would love to see Crawford face Kell Brook for that reason. Besides, it would set up Kell Brook versus Amir Khan. You know, if Kell Brook loses that fight and he don't get stopped, you can say, hey, I didn't get stopped, and that sets up an Amir Khan Kell Brook fight. So I mean, for the boxing fan in me, that's the kind of fights I want to see. I want to see that stuff so I can compare Amir Khan to Kell Brook and stuff like that. You know. So, I mean, you have to be playing chess, not checkers. You got to watch moves down the road. It's not just, oh, I want to see this fight. Oh, I want to see that fight. Oh, like a flipping asshole of a fan. You don't want to be that. You want to be somebody who can understand and put pieces together to see how this thing could build up to something else. At the same time, give you the best quality fights you possibly can give. You know, so when I hear contrary fans start to talk all kinds of shit, it really annoys the shit out of me. I'm not saying it has to be done my way. I'm just saying that you guys talk some improbable shit all the time. Like, you know, Top Rank ain't doing business with PBC. When last has Top Rank actually done business with PBC? When PBC crossed the pond and Top Rank accepted an offer from PBC. When Elito Alvarez decided he wanted to fight with Top Rank, Al Heyman ain't gonna stop him. Al Heyman's not the guy preventing Top Rank fighters from facing PBC fighters. Nope, not Al Heyman. He a manager. He just do whatever the fighters request. That would have to be on Top Rank's part. And I say it over and over again, and I repeat myself. Top Rank is the ones that don't want no fight with PBC. I don't know what's the deal with Arum talking about Al Heyman, and Al Heyman don't have nothing to do with Arum. Al Heyman is a manager. He is a manager. Al Heyman is a promoter. He's not a promoter. Bob Arum, you got to talk about it. Does Bob Arum want to do business with Lou DiBella? Does Bob Arum want to do business with Matchroom? Does Bob Arum want to do business with Errol Spence? Because Errol Spence is his own promoter. Okay? That's the question. It's not. But Al Heyman is a manager. That's like saying Bob Arum don't want to do business with Shelly Finkel. That's stupid. All right? Promoters deal with promoters. Managers deal with their fighters. They don't even deal with other managers. They deal with their fighters. Okay? So, you know, it's these ignorant ass things I have to listen to fans talk about that just annoys me, man. Because Al Heyman ain't got nothing to do with nothing. Yeah, Oscar De La Hoya, I ain't got no business. I ain't angry with Al Heyman. They tried to do something in the court of law to fine Al Heyman for doing their job, which is being a promoter. And they lost. They had to drop the case. Oscar De La Hoya had to drop the case because Al Heyman is not a promoter. He's operating within his capacity of holding events. You hear Floyd Mayweather say this is an event. That's because of Al Heyman behind the event. If it's a promotion, on the other hand, he can't do promotions. And he knows this. And y'all say, well, Al Heyman's the one running this, pulling the strings in PBC. Maybe so. But he's not the only guy. He organized in the PBC, you know, the organization of the PBC. But he's not the only guy. And he has to take advice from a bunch of people. There's a bunch of people that come through. You know, he may be the mastermind behind certain things, but he's not the be-all and end-all. And that's what y'all have to see. He's collaborating with all kinds of people. Lou DiBella, all these different promoters. He collaborates very well. Right? Al Heyman ain't that kind of dude, man. So anyway, it is what it is. So, yeah, I'm just telling you, Terrence Crawford, he could tomorrow he could face a PBC fighter if Al Heyman wanted him to. Al Heyman is the guy. I'm not Al Heyman. Sorry, what the fuck am I talking about? If Bob Arum wanted him to. His promoter. He have a promoter. The reason why Maypac didn't happen 5 years ago is because of Bob Arum. Y'all don't realize that? I keep on telling y'all this over and over. When I get validation, then y'all gonna listen to me. I told you it's Bob Arum that kept that fight. That fight could have been done since 2010. Y'all blaming Floyd. Floyd had nothing to do with that. Floyd is his own boss. He could say yes to whatever he wants to do. But Bob Arum was Pacquiao's boss, and Bob Arum didn't want that fight to happen. And even when the fight was trying to happen in 2015 with Todd DeBuff, Floyd was working with Todd DeBuff. He wasn't working with Bob Arum. He was working with Todd DeBuff. Even then, Bob Arum continuously tried to sabotage it so it wouldn't happen. Okay? He did not. Bob Arum didn't want that fight to happen. Bob Arum didn't want that fight to happen. And it happened. Okay? So, just letting y'all guys know. I mean, Bob Arum calls the shots at Top Rank, but he knew he couldn't sway public opinion because the public wanted to have that fight. Remember when Bob Arum, Pacquiao didn't even show up for the two fighters meeting each other? Bob Arum had Manny Pacquiao. Bob Arum, not Manny Pacquiao. Bob Arum had Manny Pacquiao in Caesar's Palace. It was supposed to show up at the MGM. All right, don't get it twisted, man. Bob Arum knew what would have happened if Mayweather met Pacquiao. He knows Bob. He knew Floyd. He know how good Floyd is. He know Floyd would have beat Pacquiao ass in 2010. He knew that. He know Floyd would beat Pacquiao every single time they faced each other. If they have a rematch now, Bob Arum say he think Pacquiao gonna beat Floyd. He know. Bob Arum know in his heart of hearts, if Floyd take that fight, Floyd gonna beat Pacquiao. He knows that. It don't matter if Floyd have limited movement or not. Floyd's going to beat Pacquiao. Bob Arum knows this, right? People in the know this, right? I listened to Boom Boom Mancini in the interview just recently there, and Boom Boom Mancini was saying the same thing. If Floyd faced Pacquiao, he gonna beat him again. He said it's gonna be another boring fight. I don't think it'll be as boring as the first fight. I disagree with that, but yeah, you know. Anyway, guys, I gotta go. Yeah, I was talking about Pernell Whitaker. Shoot, ran on way off course. I was saying, he contributed a lot to the sport of boxing. Besides being a mentor to Chop Chop Coley and Zab Judah, he also been a mentor to a lot of southpaw fighters. In recent times, okay, in recent times, even Lomachenko talks about Pernell Whitaker, being a southpaw. I mean, you can't be a southpaw in boxing today and you have not heard about the name of Pernell Whitaker or studied him, right? Anyways, so the argument that people were making was that this dude from Ireland, it seemed he was from, Irish dude, and I gotta say the UK fans, man, they really got a passion for boxing. They really like their boxing. I really appreciate that. Boxing is big all over the world. People just don't know that. That's why people talking about boxing is dead or is dying. What the hell are you talking about? UK boxing has been smeared a bit due to the Dillian White issue, and then one of their greatest stars, Anthony Joshua, he got beat, and comprehensively, by the way, by Andy Ruiz. So that's a little bit of the downside there in terms of how they may feel about their boxes and stuff. But at the end of the day, they still love their boxing, man. You see them having their tournaments and stuff, and you see all the stuff that's going on. I mean, boxing is bigger than just a superstar, man. It's bigger than a superstar. I listen to some people say, "Oh, man, boxing is dying." I as a fan feel like, no, right now we in a quiet time. That's what's happening in boxing. There's no super fights. So, like typical boxing fans, most people start to get depressed because there's no super fight on the horizon, or no big ass fight on the horizon. So they start talking about boxing is dead. Man, shut the fuck up. You say that every year until it starts to pick up again. So stop it. You guys are so silly, man. So at the end of the day, I'm gonna say that Pernell Whitaker contributed a lot to the sport of boxing. And there's a couple of things I wanted to talk about, which is like some of the boxers, they get the rhythm of what Pernell Whitaker was doing. I was watching them giving advice to Marcus Brown, who's going to be fighting over this weekend. He's going to be facing Jean Pascal, a very experienced veteran fighter in boxing, very crafty boxer, a little bit wild at times, but very crafty of recent times. I watched it. Listen, man. Listen. Jean Pascal faced Dmitry Bivol, Bernard Hopkins, Sergey Kovalev. If Marcus Brown be talking about son and pushing this man's head and stuff and be like disrespectful, this is Marcus Brown. You just managed to beat Badou Jack. In my opinion, Badou Jack, just because his face was bloody, he was landing punches to your body and to your head. All right? You need to be a little bit more respectful of your opponents, bro. Because, okay, we're going to see how Jean Pascal fight turn out. We're going to see how it turn out. Because Marcus Brown, I think he's getting a little too heady for himself. That is, he thinks he's that good. He's good, but you gotta, how do I put it? Anyway, it's a fight, so you can do whatever the fuck you want. So Jean Pascal pulled out a wig and he said, "After I win the fight, you gonna knock me out like how you knock out people who wear wigs? If I wear this wig, you." He was trying to say that Marcus Brown abused. So we'll see what happens in that fight. Marcus Brown, though, he looked like he got dog in him and stuff. We'll see if he if he could do something about that, he's a good uh, fighter, going to become a contender very soon. If he could beat Jean Pascal, that's a good fight over the weekend. We got a couple other good fights over the weekend to pay attention to. So I don't think boxing's dead at all. In fact, this is probably the most amount of boxing I've actually kept track of, and there's all kinds of fights going on all over the place. Um, but yeah, uh, I got some gas all in my body, just to make sure I could pass the gas. Realize I'm not passing anything right now, so I'm gonna have to move around a little bit more even. Yeah, guys. So that's what I got for now. You guys have a good one. I'm gonna go to the store, get the brownie, go out and work. So you might see me for the rest of the day. Pernell Whitaker, like I was saying before, there's only one Pernell Whitaker. So anyway, they were talking about Pernell Whitaker versus Floyd Mayweather. One guy was talking about how they have similar styles. Pernell Whitaker is more elusive. He's saying that he had more activity than Floyd. This is what I was saying. Pernell Whitaker threw more jabs. He kept the jab as a textbook. That was part of his movement. Okay, Whitaker would dip. He had beautiful dipping skills. All right, he would dip and roll. Okay, he had a unique style, all his own. Ain't nobody else have that style. In terms of defensive fighter, I think he's the best defensive fighter ever. And he said that's what he wanted to be remembered as, the best defensive fighter ever. And I think Pernell Whitaker gets that. I think that's what makes the fight between Whitaker and Floyd interesting. Because he's not going to be just easily and readily available to hit. Of course, if Floyd time him a certain way and get into position a certain way, that fight. But I'm just saying. The other thing is that Pernell Whitaker, I think, is better than Willie Pep in terms of defense. A lot of people will tell me Willie Pep is was the greatest defensive fighter ever. And one guy who watched Willie Pep said he had underrated defense and actually was a very great defensive fighter. A man who actually saw him in the ring. But I didn't actually see Willie Pep in the ring live, so I can't say what he said. And I respect him for his opinion, but as far as I'm concerned, that's secondhand. I went and watched the footage of Willie Pep, and he's a great defensive fighter, but he don't cut angles like how Pernell does. And like I said before, those guys bounce around the ring. Willie Pep did a lot of bouncing. Pernell Whitaker stayed right in the pocket. You can't touch him. Right in the pocket. It didn't matter who was facing him. Guys with two guards, like Sammy Sadler. Okay, Sammy Sadler was beating up and bruising, roughing up Willie Pep. That would never fucking ever happen with Pernell Whitaker. Because guys who could actually do that, brutalize you, rough you up and stuff, and even land body punches and shit, they couldn't do it to Pernell. Pernell fought an Argentinian fighter. Go check him out. I think it's Jose Luis Velasquez. I can't remember what his surname was. Anyway, Argentinian at 154. Dude tried to rough him up. Didn't happen. Floyd, same thing. Marcos Maidana, Oscar De La Hoya, much bigger guys tried to rough him up, do the Sandy Sadler thing or the Jake LaMotta thing in the case of Marcos Maidana. And them guys couldn't do Floyd nothing. They thumb Floyd. They do all kinds of things. Julio Cesar Velasquez. Thank you. I said Jose Luis. Julio Cesar Velasquez. Thank you. I didn't even know you was paying attention to me, man. I thought nobody was watching. Shout out to you, brother. Yeah. And these guys prove that they could rock and roll with the best of them throughout all eras. Nobody roughed up Pernell Whitaker. Nobody. No one. And it didn't matter if Pernell was coming at you to get you or he was nobody, not even Felix Trinidad. In fact, if y'all already watched the fight with Felix Trinidad, Pernell was landing some nasty left hooks to the body, was pushing Felix back. And he was actually, at a certain point in time, he had Felix in trouble. I don't know if you guys saw that. And Felix was trying to establish his jab and stuff, and Pernell was just coming for him. He said, hey, fuck this. I'm going to try and knock this motherfucker out. And he was going punch for punch, okay? And the shot that actually knocked him down caught him off balance. And that was his fault. He defensively abandoned his, like I said, Pernell, when he's coming forward, coming at you, his defense is not as great as when he is defensively moving backwards. So it's the irony of the situation. If Pernell is fighting going backwards, He better than if he's going forwards, right? So that's the little flow with Pernell Whitaker. Sometimes and really, if you're going to hunt down an opponent, it's actually harder for you to be defensive, But Pernell still could do it. He could still shift head slots and slip and roll and that kind of shit. So he could still do it. But Pernell was like, "Look, man, you say you the puncher, motherfucker. I'm stronger than you. I'm gonna walk you down." And he walked. Tell me if I'm wrong. He walked Tito down. He got hurt a couple times, but he walked his ass down for most of the fight. Pernell walked Tito down for most of the fight. Go watch the fight. It's amazing. Cause they say Pernell can't punch. I knew Pernell could punch. I knew he could punch. Okay. He had bad hands like Floyd, but he could punch. Okay. And some people say Floyd could punch harder than Pernell. Pernell could punch harder than Floyd. The reason being Floyd throw less punches than Pernell, but he get the respect of the opponent. And he could even hurt an opponent, with just one punch. Which means if Floyd used to put his punches together more, he'd probably get guys out of there a lot more frequently, And you remember Floyd, I think Pernell's smaller than Floyd. Pernell's smaller than Floyd. Yeah, you see them standing together. Floyd's a lot taller than Pernell. But Pernell was a hell of a fighter, man. 5'6", ain't got no really reach advantage, none of that shit. And he still would outbox your ass. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, I love Willie Pep. Don't get me wrong. I watched a lot of footage of Willie Pep. But I'm telling y'all now, I think the greatest defensive fighter of all time, James Toney make that claim. Nah, Pernell hands down. Pernell hands down. And we all know Pernell won those 3 fights that they say he lost or drew, right? Yeah, he lost to Tito. We know he lost to Tito. But I'm just saying, right? And everybody thinks because Pernell decided to walk his ass down, they think that because of that, Tito's a great defensive fighter and he could face Floyd and knock down Floyd and shit like that. That's where the argument comes that Tito would bake Floyd. No, he wouldn't. If Pernell was fighting a different strategy, like how he fought Oscar, Tito wasn't laying a glove on him. Not even a glove. That's just my opinion. All right? That's just my opinion. And we talking about a faded Pernell who uses cocaine all the time. I say Tito don't lay a glove. I have that much respect for Pernell Whitaker. All right. And I do have to take it down because I'm feeling like a fanboy right now. You have to keep it unbiased as possible. But I'm just saying that I can break down why I think Pernell it was a better defensive fighter than Pep. Pep was good. I'm not going to lie. He was good. Pep had that lovely footwork. He would circle on the outside. He in and out. Sometimes he could fight on the inside too. Don't get me wrong. He could fight on the inside. I love how he sidestep an opponent and stuff. But I'm just saying that when I look at Pernell and what Pernell do, which is unique to Pernell, because Pernell will hit you and you just not hitting Pernell back. Like you're not hitting him because it's the angle at which he's at. You're not going to get him back. You're just not going to get him back. He cut off the angle and he do it with a minimal amount of movement, and casually. Pep would skip around or he'd be on the inside working and he lean in and he's working, right? And then he shift his body weight, But with Pernell, that motherfucker was smooth. Sorry about the cursing. He was smooth, smooth. He's smooth. He constantly pivoted. He's constantly pivoting and he take his time. And if you gotta shuffle back, he shuffle back. If you got to shuffle forward, because he mix it up. So 1 minute you think he's going to shuffle back, he shuffle forward. And he catch you when you don't expect it. It's beautiful to watch, man. Pernell, so smooth. So smooth. You know what I mean? If Tito faced Floyd, he might get an early knockdown because he's an unpredictable sharpshooter who had a dynamic left hook, but he wouldn't win. I don't think he dropped Floyd. And I don't think you drop him with a left hook particularly. I think Tito's best punch was his right, actually. That's what dropped Pernell the first time. He caught him with a right. But that was Pernell's fault, defensively speaking. Because Pernell was just coming straight at him, and his head was straight down center line. Pernell wasn't even moving his head. He wasn't even moving his head. He was just coming straight down the center. He was like, I'm going to dog you, ninja. I have no respect for you. And Pernell was winning that round, actually. He was winning that round. He was actually beating up Felix Trinidad. He was beating him down, and Pernell didn't have no respect for him. He didn't even put a 2 guard up. He was just walking straight. He was just walking him down straight, he was just I'm mugging him and stuff. So that's how he got caught with the straight right. It's like, what you got, ninja? What you got for me? And so there was like this Pernell Whitaker. He's not even trying to move his head. He's not even trying to get out of the way of punches. Pernell was a bad boy, I think. He a bad boy. If he decided he's walking you down, he's walking you down. I mean, he got dropped by Roger Mayweather as well. You know, people make more out of it than I think because they say he got badly hurt. He clinched up a little bit, but then after that, he came back and almost knocked out Roger. You guys are funny. Pernell Whitaker would get dropped at least 6 times without cocaine supply if Mauricio Herrera went toe to toe with him. That's funny, man. Mauricio had a decent jab, but remember, Pernell's a southpaw. So just that movement by Pernell, turning Mauricio, turning Mauricio, turning Mauricio. I don't know, man. Mauricio had a good jab, but remember, that jab, it works better against orthodox fighters. Against the southpaw, it's just a totally different mechanics and a different angle you have to throw the jab at. You know, and very few people can actually do that. Floyd did it against Pacquiao. You know, who was the other guy I was thinking of that did it? Threw his jab against southpaw. I'm trying to remember. It was recent times. It's not easy to do because the angle, you jabbing now at the guy's shoulder more than his head. You see, you have to cut that angle really nice. So you have to, if he throws a jab, you got to jab over his jab or hook over his jab. And that's not easy to do. You know who else did that? The ghetto, what was his name? This is an old dude I'm talking about, way back in the day. Mauricio Herrera was a master at cutting off the ring. So Sweet Pete wouldn't turn nothing. Oh, he would turn him. What are you talking about? Okay. Watch this. I'm going to Floyd. You know, the modified version, right? Floyd. They say, well, should I use Canelo or should I use Floyd? I don't know which one to use. Let me use Canelo versus Triple G. Okay, let me use Canelo because he's even easier to do. The first fight, Triple G was cutting off the ring. Was Triple G cutting off the ring against Canelo? Yes or no? Right? I'm showing you something. Mauricio Herrera, you say he's the expert at cutting off the ring. You got to ask yourself, against who? Not against Pernell Whitaker. Right? If Pernell Whitaker want to keep the fight in the center of the ring, how is Mauricio Herrera going to cut him off? I mean, I got to show you the mechanics of what he did. What cross-foot pivoting is. Because if you don't understand that, you would not understand why it's so difficult to cut Pernell Whitaker off. Why guys who are really good at cutting off the ring couldn't cut off Pernell Whitaker. Okay? Remember, Oscar De La Hoya, he had Oscar De La Hoya going around in a circle and firing shots at him. It looked really funny. And Oscar's very good at cutting off the ring. Great left hook, too. Great jab, too. You know, Julio Cesar Chavez, a man who was known for cutting off the ring and getting guys in corners and beating them up. Couldn't cut off the ring on Pernell Whitaker. Right? Now, if Chavez and Oscar can't cut him off, how's Mauricio Herrera going to do that? I'm just asking. Those are excellent fighters I'm talking about. Right? Mauricio Herrera is a good fighter. He's solid in everything. And he's not an Oscar De La Hoya. And he ain't a Julio Cesar Chavez. So how would he do it? You're being funny. You guys are just funny these days. Hey, why don't you talk about... Okay. Let me tell you this. How about Mike Alvarado, TBE? Mike Alvarado, TBE, could cut off the ring on him. Yeah? I know you'd be too scared of Herrera. Oh, man. But Felix Trinidad got him, though. He got him and dropped him. It was kudos to Felix Trinidad. I think he did a pretty good job of trying to hit him, too, in the 11th round. Even though he didn't touch nothing. Felix was really throwing punches. He was a more active fighter, I think. Didn't land nothing, but he was more active. And I realized that Pernell got caught sometimes, even though he didn't get dropped again. He got caught coming in on Tito, trying to land his punches on him, especially the left hook to the body. It was a good fight, though. So Yeah. So my point anyway with Pernell Whitaker was, I think he's the best defensive fighter of all time. Um, I don't think Floyd. The reason being, the only reason I give him the best defensive fighter over Floyd is a number of reasons, but one of the reasons is I thought that he would make an opponent miss a lot, and then he'd come back and make you pay. He make you pay. I'm not saying Floyd didn't do that, but it's just the way how Pernell did it was so flashy, and then he put a little bit of showboating on top of it. So you got to give Pernell that. He was much more showboaty, much more showy. Floyd did it against Andre Berto. He did some of the things Whitaker actually do against his opponent. When Whitaker was facing Ramirez the second time, and he had gotten out of the way of every single punch Ramirez did, he came out of the corner and he danced, right? And you remember Floyd did the same thing against Andre Berto. Andre Berto threw a whole bunch of shots, and Floyd just kind of slipped out of the corner, and then he did his little dance thing, right? Just like how Whitaker did. And so I think that the other thing about it is Mike Alvarado TV has infected me. I hate you, man. I hate you. You're funny though. Don't forget to smash that like button, people. But the thing about it is, you notice that again, the original guy would be Whitaker. Whitaker was the one that made it entertaining. Whitaker was the one that clowned people. Whitaker was the one that, so Floyd kind of just followed after Whitaker and improved on it. One of the things I want to say about these former greats is that the former greats really did actually were the original guys who brought forth the original styles. Like for instance, when Michael Jordan did the hang time stuff, now everybody do hang time, but Michael Jordan's like the originator of that. When you talk about pound for pound, you got to talk about Sugar Ray Robinson, or you got to talk about the Ghetto Wizard, right? You got to talk about either one of them, either the Ghetto Wizard, or you're talking about Sugar Ray Robinson, and Floyd and they just kind of inherited that. So that when you talk about history, you're really talking about the old time greats in terms of they're the ones that not just the pioneers, but they were the originators of certain things. They were the original inspiration for certain things. You can't take that away from them. You know what I'm saying? And that's what made them great. So for all time, because of them, this pound for pound, was inspired people to say, oh, he pound for pound great. Yeah, Benny Leonard. Yep, the Ghetto Wizard. That's right, baby. Benny Leonard, hell of a fighter. Hell of a fighter. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is that, Aaron Pryor. I shared with you some clips of Aaron Pryor. Come on now, man. Aaron Pryor was a hell of a fighter, right? And he inspired, in some respects, he inspired the emergence of Manny Pacquiao. Freddie Roach borrowed from Aaron Pryor for Manny Pacquiao's defense. Again, Manny Pacquiao essentially was the fighter he was. They say Freddie Roach, reinvented Pacquiao, made him better, and with the right hook. Fuck that. That's bullshit. Manny Pacquiao always had that right hook. Freddie Roach said throw it more often and shorten it up this way or whatever. But Pacquiao always had that. Pacquiao always had a trainer. It was like they're doing like if Pacquiao had no trainer and Freddie Roach from scratch. That's just not true. Emmanuel Stewart wasn't Hearn's trainer. Abel Sanchez wasn't Gennady Golovkin's trainer. What's this guy? Roger Mayweather wasn't Floyd Mayweather's original trainer. You know what I'm saying? These guys would help the fighters do things with their style, more with their style. It's not that they didn't have it or didn't inherently have it. They were able to sharpen up or fix up or change the fighter's attitude. Go for him. Get him. He can't fight going backwards. That was Roger Mayweather. All day. Roger Mayweather was like, he can't fight going backwards. Get him. Kick his ass. Keep doing what you're doing. Because Roger was that kind of dude, right? So I'm just saying that's all really. They did the pad work, they did the stuff, but most of it Floyd already knew. His father trained him. All of that stuff he knew from the amateurs. He was essentially the same boxer. It's just that he had to make adjustments and change the way how he would approach a certain fight a certain way. He got a little bit smarter, a little bit more craftier. He had to. So I'm just saying that a lot of times people feel like, oh, this trainer, is responsible. No. The trainer was able to change the fighter's attitude, maybe sharpen up on certain things, tweak certain things. How you throw this punch. Maybe you need to, here, you're turning it good, but just try and time it a little bit better. Don't try and force the action. Stay relaxed when you're throwing a punch and that kind of stuff. You listen to Pernell Whitaker give tips to Marcus Brown, the same thing. You say, oh, when you dig into the body here with your left hook, just try and stay more relaxed so you can get it to kind of lag a little bit when you're throwing the hook, so you can catch the guy in the liver better. You want to dig into the body, but you can't be tight, otherwise it's going to just kind of bounce off the body. These little tips, these little gems. That's what the trainers do with the fighters. There's these little things, and then these attitudinal things you got to have in the ring. They tweak you. It's not like he's trying to reinvent the wheel and teach you a whole set of new tricks. With Gennady Golovkin and Jonathan Banks can't reinvent Gennady Golovkin. Can't change the Gennady Golovkin style. That'd be stupid. You gotta work with whatever the fighter been doing for all his life. He's just tweaking it, and that's what people don't understand. You trainer working with the fighter, not the fighter working with the trainer. You might have to teach them some new things, you might have to teach them some new tricks, but it's always based on what they do already. If you try to reinvent the wheel with a fighter, you could destroy the fighter. You could completely destroy the fighter. And some trainers have tried to do that, and it failed miserably with the fighter, right? So in boxing, you're always learning, but I'm just saying that, when it comes to those guys, Floyd and Pernell Whitaker, I think that Pernell Whitaker is, the better defensive fighter, all in all. As he claimed. And I think he's the best defensive fighter of all time, as he claimed. But I just do believe that the guys that went before him helped pave the way for him. In other words, you'll always be, Willie Pep's name will always be known because of what Willie Pep brought to the table. Nobody had ever seen something like that before. Joe Gans, when Joe Gans was fighting, so cerebral, way back in the day. I never seen him fight, but I'm just saying, from what they say in their accounts and stuff, Joe Gans was a special kind of fighter. Nobody had ever seen that kind of Scientology put to boxing like that at that weight class. I think he fought a lightweight. So my point being that, all these guys brought something new to the table. That's why their names still go all the way through history. And, it's interesting even talking about the guys who actually set him on the right course. It was a white dude that actually had Jack Johnson respect the game and actually do the science of boxing instead of just being strong and punching away. You know what I mean? Anyway, one day I wanted to do on another channel the history of boxing and just go through just a lot of really interesting things that a lot of people don't really talk about, that I found out about the sport of boxing. But, we'll talk about that some other time. Maybe I'll make that video some other time. It'll be an hour-long video. It's almost an hour, though. So I've been talking with you guys, and it's midday already, and I need to go eat something. But it was good talking with you guys. So, so Pernell Whitaker versus Floyd Mayweather. I would say if they fight 10 times, I got Pernell winning 3. I got Pernell winning 3 fights. I'm not saying that all the fights will be close, but I do believe that Pernell Whitaker had what it takes to be so deceptive, and he could change up his game plan, that I think he would succeed at least once against Floyd. Just because, again, you got to land on Pernell. How are you going to do that? What's your plan to land on him? If you can't hit the dude, and the dude could hit you with jabs, because he jabbed a lot, then why won't he win? I say it's hit or not get hit, So that's what I think. But I think Floyd all around, he got a lot more things that he could do in the ring than Pernell could. Floyd did a lot of things. Floyd didn't need a jab to succeed in the round or succeed in the fight. And it wasn't that his opposition, because a lot of people talk about how, the opposition today is poor and stuff. It's not that his opposition was poor. It's just that Floyd make the fight so one-sided that you would think that those guys don't belong in the ring with him. It's just that Floyd was another all those guys in the ring. I think it'd be a competitive fight with Pernell, though. Aaron Pryor was also a hell of a boxer, fighter, puncher, brawler. And I think that would have been another interesting fight with Floyd. But again, Aaron gets tagged too much. He just gets hit too much. He does have great defense if he wants to be defensive, but he don't care about that. He's just trying to get you to take your head off. And I think that just plays into Floyd's hand easy, But at 140, Aaron Pryor versus Pernell Whitaker would have been a nice fantasy matchup. Hybrid, stop by to drop by like Bud, but I have to catch the replay. Take care. Yeah, man. Peace to you, man. Don't forget to smash the like button. So, anyways, that's all I gotta say for today. I think those updates in the news is really good. There's some other things that are on the horizon in boxing. We got to talk about Gavordik versus Bitter BF. That's gonna be a good ass fight. I'm looking forward to that. I listened to Anthony Yard talking about how he would approach Sergey Kovalev. I think they got something up their sleeve to face Sergey Kovalev. I think there's something that they're gonna do. When I say up their sleeve, I think they're preparing very well. They're preparing Anthony Yard very well. Apparently, thoughts of Loma Campbell. Lomachenko versus Luke Campbell. That's a good fight. That's a good fight. Luke Campbell has gotten a little bit more experience facing guys like former WBC world champion. What's his name? You guys know what I'm talking about. The Venezuelan dude. I don't know why I can't remember his name right now, but I can't remember his name. You know, I think it's a good fight. I think it's a good fight. Luke Campbell, was doing okay. He's winning fights and stuff. I got Loma by competitive unanimous decision. Yeah, Jorge Linares, that's the name. Yeah. I agree with you. I think Loma wins that fight against Luke Campbell. I think Luke Campbell gets Loma's name on his resume and some experience. So yeah. Luke Campbell's a good fighter. He's a good fighter. It's not going to be like how Loma just dusted, at least I don't think so, how he dusted his last opponent. I don't think it's going to be like that. I think Luke Campbell's got, and he's a southpaw too, I think he's got some skill. But I hope Luke Campbell has worked on his inside game. That's the thing. You can't just try and fight Loma at range. Loma's going to get his preferred range very soon. And then after that, if you don't know what to do, you're in trouble. So hopefully Luke Campbell's working on his inside game. And that would definitely tell us what's up. Luke Campbell's solid, but once again, you can't just have the typical... You can't just... size don't mean shit, though, with Loma. I think you got to be able to pivot with Loma. You got to be able to have decently fast footwork, and you must be able to cut angles properly. Why I say cut angles properly. And Campbell, he don't really cut angles that well from the early fights I see. I don't know if he's improved since then, but he'll need to cut angles properly with his footwork. That's why he got knocked down by Jorge Linares. He's a good fighter. It should be a good fight. It should go the distance. Campbell should get some shots in on Loma. Of course, I don't think he's as good as Jose Pedraza. Pedraza's a much better fighter than Luke Campbell, in my opinion. But I think because if he can keep, that's going to be very hard to do. But if he can keep Loma at bay, I think he got a chance. He got to keep it at bay. But to do that, you got to be able to pivot with Loma. You got to be able to pivot with Loma. Loma is a guy who's going to find an entry point. If your foot, with Nicholas Walters, dude couldn't pivot for shit. He was fighting down a straight line. You can't pivot, you're in trouble. You're in trouble with Loma. Loma's constantly moving and trying to find an entry point. Campbell needs to fight tall as well. Yeah. Don't fight small. That would be stupid. If you're gonna stay long range off a jab, you better fight tall. But like I said before, he gonna have to move. So if he moves around the ring, if he's moving around the ring, circling Loma, that'd be even better. But just keep moving. Keep moving. Loma's going to be trying to circle you. You must be able to pivot with him. And once you pivot with him, then that jab, you can stick that jab in his face all the time. Loma's going to try and, slip the jab and get to the inside. And he might just be able to successfully do that. And then you better be able to fight on the inside as well. Especially inside fighting. Not so much mid-range fighting. Because Loma's a mid-range fighter. But if you can inside fight with him, then you can, if you're stronger than him, I don't know. That's another thing. I don't think Campbell's stronger than Loma. But if you're stronger than him, I think you can position him to the position you want and then dig to his body. The thing with Loma is you got to dig to his body. You got to slow him down. So you got to dig to his body. Any chance you get, hit him with a liver shot. So it's that kind of stuff I'm talking about. Hit him to the chest. You can't get him to the head. So try and hit him to the chest. Don't be gunning for the head. Gun for the body. So if Luke Campbell could, if he got a decent jab and he could jab to Loma's body, he could set up something. He could set up something. Loma don't ever stay still in front of you. So it's like you're trying to get a moving target. So I say you have to have also equally mobile feet. You gotta be able to pivot with him, especially when he's coming in, when his entry point is coming in. So he coming. Loma kind of walks out. He kind of goes outside of the range, and then he comes back in. He go out and he come in. He go out and he come in. That's what he's doing. When he's coming in, you better be able to catch his ass. You got to time him, and you got to pivot for his entry point. And he would try and stutter step, and you try and change directions on you to get to the entry point. So that's what you get: out, in, out, in, out, in. That's Loma. And when he gets mid-range, pivot, 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 pivot. He stutter step, change direction, pivot, 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 slip, slide, jab, hit, pivot, pivot, hit, pivot, pivot, hit. Combinations, feint, 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 pivot, hit. That's Loma. Okay, he's constantly moving. So once you can understand that, he do different patterns because he's very mathematical, you know. So you gotta be able to do that. He didn't fight on the inside. No. Loma never fights on the inside. He's always mid range. He looked like he's on the inside, but he's in the pocket. He's in the pocket, but he's not on the inside. Loma don't fight on the inside. He's a mid range fighter. So anyway, my point is that's what Loma do a lot of. And Manny Pacquiao's the same kind of dude. Loma's just more textbook, and he got one speed, two speeds, that kind of thing. He works what we call he does algorithms. Loma's like an algorithm. He does algorithms. He would set one algorithm, almost like a video game, and he would just start going with that algorithm. Then when you realize you might have gone on to that algorithm, you change it up and you do another algorithm, and so on. Then you start changing, going in between algorithms, that kind of thing. So that's what makes Loma interesting. See? So that's all I got to say about Lomachenko versus Campbell. He could confuse Campbell very easily. He can even make Campbell quit. But if Campbell got grit and stuff like most Brit fighters do, he gonna fight to the very end. But you got to face Loma. You got to have him in front of you. That means you got to be able to know how to pivot, and you got to know when he's going to enter. He's going to make space between himself and you and then come back in. If he knows he could go mid-range and just be pot-shotting you and turning and pot-shotting you and landing his combinations, he's going to do it. He's going to do it, and he's going to run Ruction on you, on the inside. But you have to be able to, you must be able to tie him up, lock him up, turn him. You got to be stronger than him. If you're not stronger than him, he gonna just bulldoze you down. But if you can lock him up, turn him, land your punches on the inside, you have a chance. But you got to know how to infight. And I don't think Luke Campbell knows how to infight like that. That's what Floyd would do him. That's why Loma knows very well he wouldn't be able to beat a Floyd Mayweather. He knows this. Floyd would use every single nice little theme in the book. Plus, if you got a decent defense, it's not just covering up. Defense is not just covering up. Decent defense and footwork, all that kind of stuff. Footwork, jabbing, feinting, rolling, slipping, all that stuff, right? If you got that in your, it's going to be hard for Loma. That's why I said Gervonta Davis versus Loma. I got Gervonta Davis right now stopping Loma. Right now stopping him. Because I was just watching a video with Gervonta, and Gervonta was saying, everybody think I'm just a puncher. I'm more than that. I got skills. He does have skills. It's not just punching. In fact, Gervonta talked about the fight before the last fight, where he said he wasn't trying to knock out the dude. He wasn't trying to knock out the dude. He knocked him out, but he wasn't trying to knock him out. He was actually trying to just box him. Gervonta is a whole different category of fighter. But again, I told you guys, go watch him in the amateurs. You'll see he wasn't knocking out people like that in the amateurs. And that kid can box. I mean, he can really box. He's trouble. Loma only really fights inside against guys who are at 160, 130. He can't really do that at 135. I don't think he ever. He kind of. He do a little bit of infighting. But you saw Orlando Salido. What do you think Orlando Salido did in the second fight? Infight him. Got on the inside, bullied him, and roughed up his body and stuff on the inside. That was what was going on. Loma don't do that. He don't know about that stuff. He don't know about jostling for position. He don't know about that shit. He can't do it. He can fight a mid-range in the pocket. He more like a Canelo type. I'm talking about infighting. Now, I'm not talking about, when I say fight on the inside, I'm not talking about in the pocket. I'm talking about infighting. He don't do that. Okay? Because he grew up in the amateur system. So they don't believe in clinching and holding, locking up, jostling for position, shouldering a guy, pushing him back, turning him. Yeah, they don't do that stuff. And Lomachenko don't move his damn head. His head always along down center line. If you're paying attention, he don't fucking move his head like Pacquiao. Well, Pacquiao move his head more now. We still get clocked because he don't move his head too much. How does Comey do against? It's a good question. First of all, we gotta ask if Teofimo does against Loma. If Teofimo face Comey, does Teofimo get past Comey? How does Comey do against Teofimo? That's what we gotta ask right now because that's the pressing question. The reason I think Floyd would destroy Roma is because of what I saw against Cotto, Chavez, Corley, etc. Now Floyd got a whole bunch of other skills than Loma does and Rigo does. You think Comey beats Teofimo? I don't know about that. We'll see. Don't let the last fight Teofimo has dictate how you think Teofimo will fight, though. Anyway, guys, I gotta go. It's good talking with you guys. Boxing. Don't forget you can subscribe to my channel as well as you can donate to my channel. I gotta put up that damn link. All right, guys. I'm gonna be on to the next one. Peace to you guys. It was good talking boxing. Got 2 polls up. The first poll is talking about how you rank the middleweights in the middleweight division. And the second poll asks you, who do you think Canelo now, who do you want Canelo to face next in the available middleweights that are realistic for him to face? You got some free middleweights like Triple G's not free anymore. He's in negotiations with Davichenko, but I still have Triple G's name there. And then we got Jamal Charlo, who's available. And we have Demetrius Andrade. And then who was the other fighter I put? There was 4 names. I can't remember. But you guys check out the poll. Don't forget to vote there. The other thing about it is that, like I said, Demetrius Andrade won almost all the polls. I will put up the other one was, how do you rank the middleweights in the middleweight division? Okay, and give reasons for how you rank them. The other thing I wanted to do was put up what you think Terrence Crawford should do next, who you think he should fight next. I want to do that poll as well for Terrence Crawford. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Peace. I gotta go get something to eat. Plus, I got gas all in just above my bladder. It's really hurting me, and I'm not passing gas as I would like to. So. For you to know, that's too much information. Nonetheless, I'm going to split because of that. All right. You guys have a good one.